American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6-6 game.
Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions!
Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores! Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
Folks, there are some relief, there's disappointment, and there's some questions associated with a lot of the things that we're going to get to sports related today. Welcome on a Ferris Coffee Friday. Glad you're with us on X's and Bros. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. We debut our Garage Beer six-pack on this Friday morning as well. So pumped for that. The Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843. The text line, Sports Radio 21,000. We've reached Friday. Thank goodness. You feel like Vince Vaughn in Wedding Crashers. Yeah, mix it up a little bit. Just do some different things. Let's start with some headlines. Big news, Lions, and pumped that Colton Pouncey is going to join us a little bit later on at 8:35 as well. The Lions extend. Yeah, so let's use the Garage Beer six-pack at 8:18. Can we do that? Thank you. All right. The Lions extend Jack Campbell 4 years, $81 million, $51 million guaranteed. So he's going to be patrolling the middle of that defense through 2030. 25-year-old last year was first-team All-Pro, had 176 tackles. He had 9 tackles for loss. He had 5 sacks, which doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and a league-high 44 run stops. Thumbs up on this? You damn right. Love this.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, how would you not have your thumbs up on this?
If you're somebody, I tweeted this out last night about how Lions fans should be really excited. Somebody said, I worry about giving a linebacker that much money. And I thought, okay, I'll bite. Right? I'll bite. Do you think San Francisco's mad that Fred Warner makes that kind of money? That Baltimore makes, that Roquan Smith makes about that much money? Hell no. They're leaders and they're great players. Who are you going to spend your money on? And I'm not saying he deserves a blank check. I'm just asking, who are you going to spend your money on? Have we gotten to the point in football where the only guys who deserve that kind of money are quarterbacks, wide receivers, left tackles, and defensive ends? Maybe running backs? Saquon Barkley deserve that? Jahmyr Gibbs deserve 14 million. What's the cutoff? Those are the things that I think you got to answer before you're going to make a statement like that. And if that's the case, you're telling me only quarterbacks. So Brock Purdy should make the money, but not Fred Warner. Who's better at their position? I'm just asking. Who's better at their position? Brock Purdy or Fred Warner?
Fred Warner.
Okay. You're damn right. And Jared Goff's a really good player. Jared Goff making $55 million. Are you okay with that more than you would be Jack Campbell making 21? How does that make sense? Do you want great players part of your organization? Yes or no? Yes. Do you want productive players part of your organization? Yes or no? Yes. Do you want great leaders part of your organization? Yes or no? Yes. He checks every flipping box. That's where I want my money going. I mean, there's a cap on every position for sure. I don't want Jared Goff making that much money. I really don't. But that's what he got. Okay. I'm not going to hate on it. I think you're going to get him for 50, maybe a little bit less. But I'm not in the negotiations. What do I know? There is a certain amount you're willing to spend. The Rams just inked Matthew Stafford to an extension, a 1-year extension, which gives him now 2 years in LA. He's going to make $105 million over the next 2 years. He's going to make $55 million. With incentives, it could be $60 million after this year. You think Rams fans are okay with that? He just won the MVP. He's arguably the best quarterback in football. I said arguably. I don't think that's the case. I think he's in there. Mahomes, I think, is better. If somebody said Josh Allen is better or Lamar Jackson is better, doesn't a Ram fan come right back and say, have they won a Super Bowl? Am I wrong there? Exactly. So there's debate there. And I think there's a debate about Jack Campbell, I suppose. I think most Lions fans are double thumbs up on this. You have locked up a young, productive leader whose contract, I would bet, as you move forward is going to look really good. You know, here's what I'm trying to figure out with sports in general. I think a lot of fans get frustrated with teams that try and quote unquote buy a championship, unless it's your team. You know, Red Wings in the 90s. Hey, let's go get whoever. Come on, Luke Robitaille. Brett Hull, you're here. Awesome. Thank you. It's great to have you, Dominik Hasek, right? All that was a trade, but you don't understand what I'm saying. Then when your team doesn't do that and you're building through the draft, which you love, we all love the draft in April, don't we? Isn't that one of the Lions fans' Super Bowl? The draft in April. You get your guys and you reward them for a job well done. And you're going to turn around and say, sorry, I want to move on. You're going to move on from a guy you just invested in for a few years, and he has rewarded you with high-end production. And you want to get rid of him, or you think it's too much money, or you're going to squabble about this, that, and if somebody else will pay him. Somebody else will take that size linebacker who moves, reads offenses, studies his ass off, does all the right things. You don't have to worry about him driving 130 miles an hour in a 70-mile-an-hour zone. Oh, I'm sorry. That's somebody in Philadelphia who went to Georgia. Another Georgia Bulldog. Oops. I don't get it, man. I don't get why people would have a problem with this. Is it because they signed Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell and Jared Goff and Jamison Williams all to these extensions before, and you're afraid that they're going to get caught there? If you think, and I don't, but if you think there's a window for this franchise, there's no, and I believe there are windows for players, but not windows for franchises. If you think there's a window for this franchise, isn't it now with these guys?
I mean, you'd hope that people think that, yeah.
You'd be willing to risk losing him after this year, as well as Jahmyr Gibbs, as well as Brian Branch, and as well as Sam Laporta? I wouldn't. So there's the philosophical difference.
I think they realize that they have in Jack Campbell. Like, I don't understand why people would be upset about this one.
I don't either. I'm not going to pat myself on the back, although I've told you time and time again the things that I've gotten wrong. I loved this pick at the time. Absolutely loved it. Probably my favorite pick. While people were going, what are you doing? Did you watch the guy? Is it guilty by association? He played at Iowa. Oh, no. Man, go back. You want to have some fun, Andy? Go back and look at people's draft boards and draft analysis after the Lions made those picks, when Gibbs came here and Campbell came here and Laporta came here and Branch. Glowingly about Branch because you got him in the second round. Missed on Michael Mayer, who was right there, and you took Laporta. Campbell, way too early. Gibbs, way too early. In the words of Toby Keith, how do you like me now? Really good news for the Lions. Kudos to Brad Holmes. I know there's a lot of people who don't like him. He didn't go get the edge rusher. I get it. I do. I understand that. But come on. Locking up high-end quality players. We're talking about the best at their position, arguably, in the conversation for top 5 in their position. We'll get to the Tigers story on the other side, and a very strange happenstance takes a great athlete way too young. We'll talk about it when we come back here on X's and Bros on a Ferris Coffee Friday, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Ferris Coffee has been family-owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Ferris Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
17 after the hour. Welcome back. Colton Pouncey of The Athletic joins us a little bit later on. We will talk at 8:35 about the extension for Jack Campbell, where the Lions go next. And that's our Mitch Lineswell poll question. Who do you extend next? Is it Gibbs? Is it Branch? Is it Laporta? I know Gibbs is on the 5th year, and they've picked that up. But still, it's a worthy question that other people are discussing as well. So you can vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. We'll give you the results on Twitter on Tuesday when we come back into the office. Andy's already tweeted it out, and I've retweeted it. Tigers are in Baltimore for a weekend series against the Orioles. Good. Maybe you need to get out of town. Sometimes that does you really well. You go, it's just you and your teammates against the opposition. You're not comfortable. Maybe this team needs to get uncomfortable. It'll be less comfortable for you and I watching them with Jack Flaherty on the mound. He's
Always
5 with a 5.7 ERA. It's closer to 5.8. Good news is Orioles have lost 3 in a row. They're playing 500 ball at home, and they sit last in the AL East. Now, the Tigers, as you're well aware, have dropped 6 in a row, 14 of 16. They lose 3-1 to Cleveland. It's the first time that Detroit has been swept by the Guardians since 2019, and the first time at home in 9 years.
Yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday a little bit, because last year when the Guardians had a chance like this early in the season to sweep the Tigers, and then Skubal had that Maddox where he pitched the complete game in under 9 innings, and that kind of shut it down. I feel like that changed the momentum back for the Tigers in that series. So just this time the Guardians got it done.
Yeah. It's beyond frustration right now.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to be in that locker room right now. But
well, I don't think it's as much. I'm sure the clubhouse is down. There's no doubt about it. You can't be. But it's the frustration is more from fans than it is for players.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Players have to. It's a hard thing to train yourself to do, but you have to. But here's what I noticed yesterday, and this is, I do think it's fair. Matt Vierling, 200. Jahmai Jones, 175. Gage Workman, 179. Spencer Torkelson, 194. Wenzel Perez, 160. How you lead, 200. Zach Short, 67. It's a lot of position play. You may not, Scott Harris may not buy into averages. That's fine. Doesn't have to. They may not be the sole reason on how to define a player, but they're part of the reason. You don't describe people with one word all the time. These players have not been good enough. Period. You got 6 below 200, a couple right at 200. 5 of them have an OPS of under 60. They rank 27th in runs scored, 18th in batting average, 23rd in OPS. They've scored 21 runs in their last 95 innings. In other words, under 2 runs a game. Barely. I'm going to round up. We'll say 2 runs a game. It's 1.99. They're 11 games under 500 for the first time since 2023. They're alone in the cellar. Okay? They scored, how many runs do you think they scored against Cleveland in the 4 games?
7.
8. You're close.
I was just like, I'm thinking what the final scores were, but yeah.
During the last 16 games, how many runs do you think they've scored? The last 16. 39.
I was going to say 31, which is really low, but yeah.
Yeah. In their last 162 games, they are 14 games under 500. That's a long sample size.
Yeah, sample size is getting bigger. It's
yeah.
It's
so
brutal.
people could talk about how they've made the playoffs the last 2 years. If you look at a 162 game, and remember, you said 40, I said 50. Neither one of us completely convinced, but giving us a pretty good glimpse of who we think this team is. Over the last 162, they're 14 games under the break even.
Yeah, I mean, just given the past history at this point of, teams that have come back from this kind of deficit under 500. Like, it's not. It's tough to see them making a run to make the playoffs right now.
Why
so.
would let me ask you this? Why would Jahmai Jones ever get another at bat?
These are questions I've been asking myself for a long time, Shep.
Honestly, if this is as good as you can get, then you're in deeper trouble than we even originally thought.
Yeah,
we're going to keep Jahmai Jones. I know people are like, Shep, why do you criticize so severely the Tigers coming into the season? We just won 2 out of 3 against San Diego because I've seen the long-term ills of this roster. Where is the right-handed power? I've said this for over a year. This is not a fly-by-night. Here it is, everybody. I got the gotcha moment. I've said this for I've actually said it for 2 years because I expected them to win the division 2 years ago, last year, and this year, even though what I said was no right-handed power bat besides Spencer Torkelson. Jahmai Jones is your right-handed power? Don't even come at me with Gleyber Torres and Javier Baez. That is not power. That's not power in Major League Baseball, damn it. Stop it. This is ridiculous. This is what you've done or failed to do. Maybe it's Dylan Dingler. How much power do you need? You need more power than you have right now. Dingler's got 9 bombs. That's pretty good. Okay? He's not the second coming of Kyle Schwarber or Aaron Judge or anything like that. It doesn't matter. We said if you got 20 to 25 homers from him, remember, you should be happy. That's not where I was looking for my power.
No, yeah, exactly. That's the point. Like,
Jahmai Jones, that's what you have. Here's your right-handed sticks. Matt Vierling, never more than 12 homers in a career. Dylan Dingler, who's got 9, which is pretty damn good. Jahmai Jones, who's got a slug of 316. Dylan Dingler's got a better OBP than Jahmai Jones does slug. What does that tell you? You should be scared out of your mind.
If we're still trying to justify these kind of things, these kind of players that we've been hearing these names for a while, man, that's the real issue there. Like the fact that they haven't added anything else in the offensive end. I mean, a lot of people have been saying that have followed this team for the past few years. I mean, if you watch the end of last season and you were okay with them coming in without adding any bat, I mean, I don't know what you were watching towards the end of last year.
I don't either. And therein lies the massive frustration. Okay. Let me just give you a quick idea. Ben Rice leads the league in slug with 644. Okay. Aaron Judge has got a slug of 555. So I ask you, what is it you're expecting from a slug? Like a player's slugging percentage. Aaron Judge is last year led the league at 688 in slugs. Okay. So if that's the case, and I know we're up against it here. I do want to get to something here in a minute, because this is the issue that you have. Last year, the league average for a team, the slug was 404. Okay? I'm trying to give you a perspective. The Tigers were slightly above that at 413. That was last year. Okay? This year, the average slug, and it's an early indication, can we really even have an average just yet for this when it comes to Major League Baseball? We can't. It's at 389, so it's low. It's 389. The Tigers are at 372, among the worst in baseball. We'll get to the problems with this lineup when we come back here on X's and Bros. Stay with us on a Ferris Coffee Friday, brought to you by Michelin as well.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
Welcome back on a Ferris Coffee Friday. We're brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth. A little bit later on, our garage beer 6-pack. It's going to be in the 8 o'clock hour. Busy show for you this morning. We were talking about the Tigers a little bit. There's a little bit of a misnomer here regarding the Tigers. There's a lot of people who feel like it's a young team. Everyone says they're so young. That's not true at all. The average age for a Major League Baseball team, who do you think is the youngest team in baseball?
Athletics.
That's close. It's the Cardinals.
Oh, okay. That would not have been my guess, but
their average age is 26.7.
Okay, that is it. They kind of sold off and stuff, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit. Who do you think is the oldest team?
Probably the Mets, or I would think someone who's higher paid. So maybe the Dodgers. But
good guess. They're in that conversation. It's the Braves and Rangers.
Okay.
Braves and Rangers at 30.5. So the Braves and Rangers are at 30, and the Cardinals are at 1 in terms of youth. All right, 30 teams. Find me the middle. Where are the Tigers? Do you think they're shading closer to the youth or shading closer to the aging veterans?
I guess they're closer to the veterans, but probably still in the middle, like maybe 17, 18.
Good. They are 18.
Okay.
The average age is 28.8.
Yeah, I mean,
along with the Red Sox.
I think people forget about how long some of these names we've been hearing them in the lineup for now.
Yeah, 100%. And the odds are against them now because of this start. The odds are deep against them. If you look at FanGraphs, MLB playoff odds, the Tigers now have a 28% chance of making the postseason. All right? There's only 6 teams who have worse odds. The Angels, they're going to trade Mike Trout. They should trade Mike Trout. The Astros, they've been hit by injuries too. The White Sox, who most people, Andy and I played this game yesterday, cannot name more than 3 players. Seriously. If you got some buddies who think they're baseball knowledgeable, right? We all have them. Just for a goof, say to them, give me 3 Chicago White Sox. Guaranteed they say Andrew Benintendi is one of them. All right? Outside of that, good luck. If you know Jared Kelenic, probably knew him better as a Seattle Mariner, fine. If you knew Randall Grichuk, okay. And he barely plays. Austin Hayes, the former Oriole. There's just not that many you know. All right? So you've got that as a team that is worse odds than the Tigers. The Royals are another, which is too bad because they've got one of the best players in all of baseball. The Orioles, what happened to Pete Alonso? Last in the AL East, 500 team at home, lost 3 in a row, way under 500, hosting the Tigers starting today, and the Minnesota Twins. What's the common denominator there? The division. White Sox, Royals, Twins, all in the same division as Detroit. Therein lies your hope. When everybody says they play in a worse division or play in the worst division, this is why. They use that little pot of gold to sell you there's still hope.
And yeah, before we hear this too, because I'm sure somebody out there is thinking it. 2 years ago, what was the percentage they were going to make the playoffs when they made the run?
0.2%.
Yeah, whatever it was. So it was extremely low. you said what, 24, 28% they have right now?
26%.
26%.
According to Fangraphs.
Like, I think people need to realize how unlikely that was when the Tigers made that run to make the playoffs. Like, it's not just going to be easy to do again, or they're not just going to get that hot.
Do not use that as your hope, because it's just the odds were basically insurmountable, and yet somehow, some way they didn't.
Like, I think the Tigers just caught fire, and that team had never really been in that kind of territory before, and they just rode with it. I mean, that's hard to recapture, I feel like, as a team, like to get.
Well, other teams have to help you too, Andy.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yep.
Other teams have to help you, and perhaps that can happen again. Perhaps. I don't see that happening, but if the eternal optimists said to you and I, or asked you and I, give us the best team in the American League, who do you say right away?
Yankees.
And yet they're 4.5 back in their division.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nobody in the American League that scares the hell out of you. I'm trying to be positive here, because I know a lot of people, the easy thing to do is be negative during a 6-game slide and losers in 14 of 16. They're not worth looking at and saying they can do this, because they've given you no indication, none. But knowing that the American League, that the East is good, it's not great, it's good. Tampa leads the division, then New York. The third place team's 4 games under 500. I want you to remember that. Toronto's 4 games under 500. There's one team in the AL Central, 2, because Chicago has won 7 of 10. They're a game over 500. Nobody thinks they can keep that up. I'm included in that nobody. All right. There's one team I think will make the playoffs from the division. And then the West, there's nothing special there. There's one team over 500, and that's the Athletics. And not many people feel like they can keep it up. Knowing the number of teams you need to make the postseason, you tell me why it's insurmountable. There's nobody in this league, not the division. I'm talking about the entire American League, that scares the hell out of you. So if you right the ship, and I'm not a believer that these guys come back from injuries and everything's going to be fine. Andy, Huge, Brett, and I are all going to join hands around the campfire, and we're all going to sing Kumbaya to the Tigers. That is not what I say. But because nobody else puts the fear of baseball's gods in you, you get on a roll, anything can happen. Because there's a lot of teams in this league that stink, or a lot of teams in this league that are going to hit the skids. Let me give you a quick example. We'll just use a 10-game sample size, okay? Yankees have lost 6 of 10. Toronto's 5-5 in their last 10. Boston's 5-5 in their last 10. Baltimore's lost 6 of 10. Then you've got Minnesota. They've won 6 of 10. The Royals and the Tigers both have dropped 9 of 10. I'm using a 10-game sample size. In the West, Oakland 5-5 in their last 10. Texas 6-4. Seattle 5-5. Houston 4-6. And the Angels have dropped 9 of 10. Anybody you look at in this division or in this league that makes you go, they're on a roll, they're going to run away and hide. Nope. That's what baseball is today, at least in the American League. The National League's a little different, but not despairingly different. There's a few teams wouldn't want to play the Dodgers every night, wouldn't want to play the Padres every night. Now, listen, I guarantee you, people in other markets who are having a similar conversation are using the Tigers as an example of how bad baseball is right now, too, in the American League. But if they're going to sit there and say, look, my team can do this if they get right, If they have the right manager, they have the right lineup, they get some guys on the mound who are healthy, yes, you can do that. The speculation now is, well, the Tigers' window is closing to hold on to Derek Skubal. They're going to have to trade him because they're going to be out of it. Are you really out of it? Is anybody in the American League, I mean, I suppose there are certain teams, but truly out of it? Hell no. As bad as Detroit is, as bad as they are, they're 5 games out of the wild card spot. That's the league is
that's
bad,
insane
Andy.
when you think about it. Yeah,
I
compared
know
to
it
other
is.
years, they'd be buried right now. It feels like that's
For sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to leapfrog everybody.
Yeah,
but
it's
just
not-
5 games out.
Also not
I
calling it
said to
easy.
you, if I said to you June 15th, forget the record, pretend like you don't know what their record is. June 15th, you're 5 games out of the wild card. Are you considering trading people? Probably not.
No, I wouldn't think so.
But a lot of it depends on how you get to that.
Yeah.
Let me get to the because people may have gone to bed last night and missed it. Knicks look good, man. I mean, they do. I mean, they beat Cleveland 109-93. Didn't have much of a problem with it. They're up 2 games to none in the Eastern Conference Finals. Josh Hart, who was absent in game 1, led everybody in a career playoff high 26. Karl Anthony Towns, who people like to make fun of in this town, had a double-double, 18 points and 13 boards. Jalen Brunson, who we consider a flopper in this town, had 19 points and 14 assists. New York has won 9 straight playoff games. That's the most by any team in league history since Boston in 2024 when they won the World Championship or reached the finals. Did they win the championship in 2024? Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah. More impressively, I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Knicks have outscored teams by 212 points during their 9-game winning streak. That's the biggest point differential, any 9-game span, regular season or playoffs, by any team in NBA history, according to ESPN stats. That's a team that's rolling right now. They feel pretty good. The previous record was the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robertson-led Milwaukee Bucks in 1974. When they outscored teams by 209. That's how good the Knicks have been. Kudos. Montreal blows out Carolina. Carolina had 11 days off. Do you think that mattered? It looked like it. Skating in slush a little bit. They scored the first goal. Montreal was clearly better, 6-2. First loss of the postseason for the Canes, who are now 0-7 all time in game 1s of the Eastern Conference Finals. Here's the other weird thing. This one blew my mind when I read it. Kyle Busch has died. The NASCAR driver, the 2-time Series Cup champion, hospitalized for 10 days with a severe illness. He won 63 NASCAR Series titles. That ranks 9th all time. He won 234 NASCAR races overall, the most ever. He was only 41. I'm going to give you 2 things. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you're into it. If you're not, you're going to roll your eyes. That's okay. When Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter crash, he had just won a significant settlement against a pharmaceutical company. Okay? Kyle Busch won an $8.5 million settlement against Pacific Life recently. He died of an unexpected illness in the hospital. Is that weird to you?
Yeah, when you put it like that, that's wow.
We're talking about a guy who probably had among the best insurance you could possibly get.
Yeah, had to. Yeah.
Okay. He had the best care you could possibly get. In his last race, you heard him on the radio talk to his crew saying, I need the doctor when the race is over. I'm going to need a shot. You could feel something happening to him. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's weird. That's weird.
It's really weird. It's really weird. I get it if you got cancer. Even though I'm one of those big time believers that we could cure cancer. Just pharmaceutical companies won't allow it. I truly believe that. We're too advanced in so many things. We're we're brilliant in so many things. The world is brilliant in so many ways. We've got AI, your computers going to Mars and all these different places that we aspire to get to. Come on, man. Anyway, I get it if he's got cancer. He had an undiagnosed illness. He was sick in a hospital bed. And he dies?
Yeah, that's insane.
This is not a delivery man who suddenly became ill, had to wait for a hospital bed, and they were looking to see if his insurance is going to cover certain medication. This is one of the more famous athletes in his sport of all time. And he's in a hospital bed with an illness, and he dies at the age of 41. Very strange to me. That there has to be some type of investigation. I hope there is.
You'd think so. I mean, with something like that, like you think somebody's going to at least look into it, right?
Yeah.
It'd be crazy. It feels like they'd be crazy if they didn't look into it.
Dude.
Out of nowhere like that?
Out of nowhere. And he just now, I suppose Pacific Life would say, wait a minute, he wins $8.5 million. We paid him. What's the point of your theory that something's awry there? Revenge? Fear of something happening again? I don't know. It just seems pretty convenient that something like this happened to two of the greatest athletes in their respective sports. We've given you the Mitch Lions poll question of the day. We have one for you every single day. Who should the Lions extend next? Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, or Jahmyr Gibbs? Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. The results come your way next week. Colton Pouncey is going to join us a little bit later on. Excited for that. We were talking about Jack Campbell. I read an article the other day that regraded the NFL draft. And there's a program in this country that is out of control and not enough is being said about it. All that and more coming up in the 7 o'clock hour here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lions Wealth. It's a Ferris Coffee Friday, and we're glad you're with us on the Michigan Sports Network.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan. One of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Their worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contests or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Because you never know when the last one is, you know. So I know all too well, unfortunately, with the Cup stuff. But, you know, here with the truck stuff right now is it's awesome just to be a part of Spire Motorsports. Thanks to Jeff and Dan and Mr. H for the opportunity. HendrickCars.com. I'm sure it looked great out front leading the race, and it wasn't just Kyle Larson doing it. So, you know, feels good to have another Kyle being able to do it and putting ourselves in victory lane.
That was after Kyle Busch's last victory. You just never know when you're going to get your last, and unfortunately, he did have his last after passing at the age of 41. Well played, Andy McDonald, to find that right there. It's just incredible that a guy who is 41 years old in today's modern medicine is in the hospital for 10 days with an unknown illness, and suddenly he's gone. Shortly thereafter, winning a lawsuit against a very famous insurance company. You know, there's just certain things. I don't know, man. I don't want to get too deep into conspiracy theory, but I mean,
I tried.
Do you remember? Do you know who Joan Rivers is?
No.
Okay. So she was a comic, had way too much plastic surgery where her face actually looked like a mask. Anyway, she was on a satellite radio show and talked about a certain other Chelsea Handler sleeping their way to the top, that they were at Epstein Island all the time, even though, and she was fully aware of what Epstein had been doing to kids. Joan Rivers shortly died thereafter, like revealed the truth. I don't know. Do you believe in that stuff?
It's hard not to think there's like a correlation for sure.
I'm telling you, man, you got to be blind not to think there's something.
I try not to think about it because it sounds crazy, right? But like,
I know.
Yeah, it's hard not to at least like have to think about it. That's for sure.
I agree. I agree 100%. All right, let me get to again our sympathies with anyone who was a NASCAR fan. My nephew, his favorite athlete is Kyle Busch. I called my brother-in-law yesterday, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm really sorry about what happened with Kyle Busch." Or I texted him that. He called me back. He said, "Yeah, he's been in the hospital. I know he's not doing well." I said, No. He passed. He died." He said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, he died. So I just want you to tell your son I'm sorry." He's like, "Oh my God." And he was picking him up from track practice. It's a tough conversation. He said for him, it would be like John Elway dying, because his favorite player of all time in any sport is John Elway. Who's your favorite player of all time in any sport? If you could pick one player, you're like, oh my goodness. For some, it may be Nolan Ryan. I don't know if you love baseball, who, by the way, gave up a batting average of 204 all time. That's how great he was. Never won a Cy Young. All those no-hitters. Incredible how many no-hitters he has. No one will ever catch him in strikeouts. And guys hit 204 against him. Walk too many hitters. But whatever. Who's your favorite athlete of all time? If you can meet one guy and hope you're never disappointed, who would it be?
I'm still trying to think over here right now, because
there's no right or wrong answer. I've been really fortunate because the athletes I've greatly admired, whether as an adult or as a kid, I've had the chance to meet. I interviewed Joe Montana. He was one of, if not my favorite football players. I interviewed Barry Sanders. I did a weekly show for the Lions at the main event at the Pontiac Silverdome. Barry Sanders did his last interview there before he retired. And I was there. My son was playing with Barry Sanders' son. They're playing football around the main event. It was crazy. Okay. I've covered and interviewed Wayne Gretzky a number of times. Lucky with that. I'm going to do an event with Isaiah Thomas coming up, and I've interviewed him before. Alan Trammell's my favorite player in anything. I sat next to Alan Trammell. I played golf with Alan Trammell. I've had dinner with Alan Trammell. I've shared beers with Alan Trammell. I've been really lucky in that regard.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
For sure.
It really is. It's super cool. And I couldn't help but think of all those things while thinking about my nephew yesterday, that my brother-in-law would take him to races outside of the state of Michigan, NASCAR races, to watch Kyle Busch. He loved him.
Yeah,
big blow.
I mean, it's always been locally for me. Miguel Cabrera was obviously one of my favorites, like growing up, just because of how good he was and how good they became during that time. As crazy as it might sound to some Lions fans, I know people have their opinions, but Matt Stafford was always one for me, just because I love the way he plays the game, and I still don't blame him for the problems of Detroit. So for me, I always liked how he still suited up on Sundays a lot, even when he was hurt and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. There's a few of them like that. Dylan Larkin actually is one of my favorites. It's tough that they're in the position they're in with him right now, because he's one of the few guys like actually taking the time to talk to me like after an interview and stuff like that. So it's just like when you get into the sports side of it and you start talking to these people more, the personable relationships I think become more like if they're down to earth and I'll actually have a conversation with you, that means a lot more to me. So I start to get biased in that way to where I like players more because of that. But just as a kid, yeah, it was like
that's a good thing, man. I'm glad you feel that way, and you wouldn't be disappointed with those athletes. I mean, Stafford is a really good dude. His wife's a little wacky. He's a really good dude. All right, been really lucky to have covered him, called his games, gotten to know him to a certain extent. A few years back, he was, I see the picture right now. He was up in the booth with us, and that was because he was at a Tigers game, so that was really cool. Dylan Larkin's a grade A dude.
One I definitely should have mentioned, I don't even know how I blame my mind, but Justin Verlander for sure too. Just because back then, I mean, he was everything for the Tigers for me. Like when I got into the Tigers, 2006 was like the first year I turned on the TV and actually started watching to where I remember. Like,
well, you'd like him now. Back when you watched him and liked him, you take him to a different
I heard about how he was towards the media, for sure. But
and that's totally legit. Let me get to a text here from our friend Freddie. Scott Harris inherited Tarek Skubal, did nothing to get him, signed long-term or trade him, build an offense around him for the team to try and get into the playoff baseball with proven bats from the right side. Carpenter's homer versus Cleveland 2 years ago. Or was that last year? Last year, yeah. The Cleveland closer in the playoffs.
You're saying that was Carp's homer? That was 2 years ago. Last year he did hit the big one though against Seattle too.
Seattle,
game,
right, yeah. And he's talking about Emmanuel Clase, I assume. May have fooled Scott Harris on what we really needed. It's a really good question. But if the home run came against Cleveland 2 years ago, the homer against Seattle came last year, are you fooled by just Kerry Carpenter? How could he not understand what this team needs? Any of them? I think they do. It's just going about and getting it. Are you willing to do that? Going out and getting that from the right side. I'm not even talking about the left side. Shep Harris has failed. I hate watching purposely to see fans throw the virtual hate towards him the way they did with Al Avila and the way these commentators defend. That is absolutely horrible. I haven't been able to catch that aspect of it. I don't know how you defend what he's doing right now or what he's done. There's only so much you can do right now, unfortunately. I know people think you just got to make a bunch of moves. It doesn't always work. As I said yesterday, the best hitter for Toledo was called up and is struggling right now. You had two guys who were doing a really good job in Toledo. Gage Workman and How You Lead don't get called up if they aren't performing at Toledo. Look at what happened. If you think just sending down Wenzel Perez, Gage Workman, How You Lead, cutting Zach Short, and bringing up fill in the blank is going to do it, it's probably not. It may create a spark to start, but it probably won't. You need more than that. That's the reason I like established players, man.
Yeah, I think they probably
hate to say it that way, but I like established players.
I think everybody would. I think they probably did know that maybe they didn't have enough on offense coming in this year, but maybe they thought they could get away with it. I mean, you and me didn't think they were going to be this bad, right? I mean, I didn't think they were going to be this bad.
No, I don't care what anybody says. That nobody thought that they would be this bad, that they would go through this type of stretch. I'm just telling you, you got to remind yourself something, okay? That is good. Do you think Kevin McGonigal's really good? I do. I think he's very good. He hit 328 in April and March. You know what he's hitting in May? 212. You don't think the guys from Toledo aren't going to struggle when they get up here? Quick timeout. We're back with more after this.
Huge here for the Carmody Brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. They have some huge deals happening every week. Buy one boneless wing, get one free every Thursday. They also have their bottomless appetizers. Groups can get bottomless apps starting at $9.99, and they also have the Pick Six meal for two. Get 2 entrees, 2 sides, and 2 drinks starting at $19.99. That's happening at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Huge deals every week.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements, this center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Back with you on X's and Bros. Just to the last text regarding Scott Harris and the approach. It's frustrating not to have been able to figure out team needs and then address those team needs. The question is, who would you have wanted? And people should ask me of that. Well, Shep, you say they needed a right-handed power bat. Who did you want? People wanted Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso's batting .226. He's got 52 strikeouts in 50 games. He's got an OBP of .310. People wanted Bo Bichette, which was my thought. Move him to third base is what I said. He's batting 2.25. Nobody has more at-bats in baseball than Bo Bichette, by the way. Every day he's in the lineup. He's got a chance to make himself better. He's batting 2.25 with a slug of .328. Not good, man. For the last 2 years, we were talking about Alex Bregman. Oh, my God, he left for Boston. Let's go get him in the offseason.
That was my guy, and I won't lie about it.
He's got 4 homers and a .350 slug.
Hasn't been great this year, that's for sure. And last year he was injured for a good amount of time too, right?
He was.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. I think for me with the whole thing, I obviously wanted them to sign a right-handed power bat, but I figured when they signed Valdez and then did the Verlander thing, Kenley Jansen, whatever, I figured maybe that they couldn't find the right guy. So in my mind, I felt confident that going into the deadline, they could have a good enough record that if they needed to maybe make a move at the deadline, since they did finally spend some money on some people, I felt like this might be the year that they do that, right? I didn't think they would be this bad even with this lineup. So that's why I'm not I don't know. I'm not going to jump all over them for not doing it if nothing was there. But again, like you're saying right now, who is the guy that they would have gotten anyway that'd be helping them out that much?
Yeah, it also puts you in what you're doing right now puts you in purgatory at the trade deadline.
Oh yeah. No,
you don't know whether to add or
they're in trouble right now. I'm saying that I thought what I would have predicted, like in the offseason, I wasn't too upset they didn't sign a right-handed bat yet, because in my mind I was like, they're not going to be like with this division. I was like, they won't be that far buried. You know what I mean? I thought they could make a move at the deadline if it really was that crucial. They felt like it was that crucial at the time. Because at that point you got to chase it.
And I get it. The problem is with a lot of the players I just mentioned, the easy thing is to say, I want to try and get those players. At least you make an effort to get those players, which is true. But then I remind you, Steve Eisman tried to do some things differently and it didn't work out, and people are ridiculing him for it right now, and rightfully so. Brad Holmes brings in certain guys. They don't work out. You're pissed off, and rightfully so. Somebody has to pay Pete Alonso. He's making $21 million this year. You're going to pay him $33.5 million over the next 4 years. I want you to think about that. If he's on your team and he's delivering these goods, 226, strikeout a game, no slug, I want you to, and it's not like he's some phenomenal first baseman. He's not the second coming of Freddie Freeman. You're going to have to pay him $33.5 million after this year for the next 4 years. Then what? See, we don't have to live with those consequences. The person who does the signing would. Bo Bichette. You got to pay him for the next 3 years at $42 million. Those are jobs, or those are contracts that lose jobs. Alex Bregman. He's on the dotted line in Chicago for the next 5 years of making an average, because it fluctuates. 1 year it's 29, 1 year it's 27, about $28 million. Who answers to that? The easy thing is to say, go get that guy. He's a right-handed power bat. I want him in my lineup. But then you got to figure out, oh, shoot, I got to sign a contract. What is he worth? And then if he doesn't perform to that worth, you're the one who's going to lose your job because of it. you better make damn sure. And look, all three of those guys I mentioned, the reason I mentioned them, they're right-handed power hitters. Not great. I mean, Bichette and Bregman aren't great power hitters. Sure, not like Alonso. But they give you a threat from the right side. You've got to account for them. You're going to pitch a certain way around the lineup with it. But I bring them all up because A, they're right-handed hitters, and B, they were free agents, and C, everybody used those names. How come people aren't talking about those names now? You know why? Because all three of these guys are not performing to their contract. And we would have been wrong. You and I talking about it would have been wrong. Via text. Shep, question for you. Do play-by-play guys and color commentators in baseball approach players privately and say, you might be doing this wrong pitching or this wrong at the plate, or is it an awkward situation? Well, play-by-play guys should never do that. Play-by-play guys are not analysts. You shouldn't be analyzing something. That's what your partner is. His job is. You're supposed to set your partner up for that. An analyst, unless you're asked, and even then, you got to be careful. You got to be careful because there are coaches who get paid to do that, and you're infringing on certain things. No, I mean, there could be a situation. I've been around guys where a player may ask an analyst, hey, what'd you do in this situation? Well, I always did this, that, and the other thing. And then you've got an out. But you should never, not many analysts will ever take somebody aside and say, hey, listen, here's what I've noticed. You're doing this, that, in certain situations. And then tell them how to fix it. You got a hitting coach, a pitching coach, you got more than one hitting coach and more than one pitching coach, whose job and careers rely on diagnosing that. So I would say no. I have worked with analysts who didn't retire long before jumping into a booth or on a headset. And because of that, we're very comfortable talking with players since they hadn't retired too long before. And it was frowned upon. Let me get to some in the chat here, streaming live on YouTube, X, and Facebook. From David, why is it so hard for Tigers owners to spend money on players? I mean, stars, hitters, not washed up players that other teams don't want. So I think he's referring to maybe a guy like Kenley Jansen there. So spending money, I'm glad you clarified that, David, because Chris Ilitch spent money. I mean, he's got the 10th largest payroll.
Top 10 payroll. Baseball. Can't deny that.
Top 10 payroll. And I brought this up yesterday. Look at the division leaders. Tampa's got the lowest payroll in the East. They lead the East. A's have the lowest payroll in the West. They lead the West. Cleveland has the lowest payroll in the Central. They lead the Central. It's the long-term deals with players you want. I just mentioned 3 names, though, David, and a lot of people wanted them, and it would have been bad signings there. I'd like it to see him spend money on Riley Green. He has spent money on Cole Keith. He has spent money on Kevin McGonigal. Obviously, Javier Baez was sought after. People wanted him. And it's the fill-in-the-blank situation. I think they're willing to do it. They've just picked the wrong guys. Got to take a quick time out. We'll get to more of that in the chat and a whole lot more coming up here on X's and Bros, including what the hell is wrong with this one college football program? Whew, they've got some bad dudes. That's after this.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. one last time. Rod Stewart with Richard Mark, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC warehouse locations in Michigan.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
All right, back with you here on X's and Bros. Thanks for being with us here on the Michigan Sports Network on a Ferris Coffee Friday. We're brought to you this hour by Meyer. Colton Pouncey will join us at 8:35. 8:18, we've got our Garage Beer six-pack. We debut our six-pack, and looking forward to that as well. Via the chat on YouTube, on X, on Facebook as well. From David, Shep, when Kyle Busch was in Berlin a year ago, he was with a specific racing team. Because I don't want to confuse people with that. He signed my little nephew's shirt and treated my nephew like it was one of his own. He personally never cared for Kyle, but what a class act that he was on that evening. R.I.P. Kyle Busch. You are still one hell of a driver. Yeah, I mean, you don't win as often as he did. I don't know what makes people gravitate toward a certain athlete. Andy had mentioned character, people he felt like were high character. Yeah, I think that's part of it. I hope it would be part of it. I would just caution you, who you think a player or athlete is may not always be who they truly are. But that's a hard thing for anybody to get to know, because athletes are pretty private, and I respect that. I do.
Yeah, it's definitely a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, they are unwilling to let a lot of people in, and I understand that too. When I covered Rick Mahorn, he was gruff, tough, standoffish, not afraid to. And then when I worked with him, he's become a friend of mine. So a lot of it is, it's not always what you see is who they are. Gibby wasn't easy to deal with as a player, but as a partner and as a friend, he's unbelievable. He's just a great dude. So sometimes you don't know. All right. So a player, an athlete may be having a bad day. It doesn't seem like it, but I'm sure Andy has bad days.
Plenty of them.
So if somebody comes in contact with him on that bad day, is that how you feel they are all the time?
Yeah, he didn't want to talk to me last night after I shot a 47 in golf league. That was not good for me.
Right on.
You need to stay away from me for a second.
Until you at least have one beer in you. Yeah. Once you have a garage beer, then you're all set. I try to give the athletes the grace because as a member of the media, we feel it. Let's be honest. You're always looking out for what is in your best interest. I need the athlete because I want access to information. It's true. You use them. They understand that better than anybody. Fans oftentimes use athletes. I want you to sign this because I'm going to turn around and sell it. So there's a lack of trust to a certain extent. And you can understand why, I would hope. Okay? I mean, if somebody was always out to looking at you, identifying you a certain way, and wanting to be, let's just say, your friend for what you do rather than who you are, wouldn't that bother you? Absolutely. It would bother me. Okay? And look, quite honestly, I've felt that. I've experienced it. Oh, you're the play-by-play voice of the Tigers. Oh, let's be pals. Suddenly you're not. I never hear from you anymore. Why is that? So athletes get it on steroids with that kind of information or that kind of situation. So I try to give them a little bit of grace because of how I've always met them and come in contact with them. One of the things that I enjoyed most while working with athletes is the times where I wasn't. I tried to make sure I wasn't going to them with information. I just wanted to talk. Hey, man, how's it going? How's your golf game? How's your mom and dad? How's your sister? All those different things. She's graduating, right? Oh, cool. All right. Talk about that aspect of it. Get away from the sports aspect of it without stepping over a line. Let's have a beer someday. All right, we have a beer. And then we talk about things other than the sport they play. So, Dave, I'm glad that your nephew had one of the highlights of his young life, and perhaps Kyle Busch changed your opinion to a certain extent.
Before we get off the Kyle Busch thing really quick, I just saw this. I can't remember if you mentioned it earlier or not, but I know we're talking about the conspiracy stuff a little bit. I just happened to see this. Because you mentioned Kobe and Kyle Busch, like both with the
and Joan Rivers.
Yeah, so Kobe Bryant was number 8, and he passed away at 41. Kyle Busch was number 8, passed away at 41. Same initials too.
Holy crap!
So that's when I came across that, I was like, wow, I'm just gonna add to this right now, really quick.
that is funky. Ooh, you get chills.
I mean, obviously he changed to 24, but still, like,
Yes.
I mean,
But he
both
was
number
8.
8, both passed away at 41. They both the same initials. That is really weird.
And both were coming off winning lawsuits against.
that's
in one case pharmaceutical, the other in a health insurance. From Christopher Shep, I wonder how the locker room is. Is there any fire, or are they just down and out? These Tigers need a jump start. I think that's a fair concern. A clubhouse in baseball is borderline sacred. I had a big debate with a player one time, Andrew Romine, who was coming off the field, and he and I were on friendly terms. We had a pretty good relationship. So we talked about a lot of different stuff. And he came up to me. I was standing outside the Tigers dugout. He's coming off of infield batting practice, whatever. And he said to me, he's like, "Hey, Shep, I got a question for you." And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Why do you guys always have to invade our space?" And I said, what do you mean invade your space? Help me with that. And he said, "Well, you're always in our clubhouse, and that's our place. Why are you guys allowed to be in there?" And I said, "Well, Andrew, I mean, the only way you handle that is I need to talk to you guys, you and your teammates, and the other team as well, in order to get information and share it with an audience. How else am I supposed to do it?" "Well, you don't have to be in there, though. Can't you do it out here?" I said, "Sure, I can do it out here. Here's the problem. While I'm interviewing you out here, 3 or 4 guys are walking by and I can't get them. It is me interviewing somebody and giving someone else an opportunity to avoid it. In the clubhouse, I mean, you can stay back in the weight room. You can stay back in the chow room. You can stay back in the manager's office. You can, go and get treatment and all that other stuff. But eventually you're going to have to come to your locker. So that's what it's really all about. "Well, I don't think you guys should be in there." Fair enough. That's fine. I respect your opinion there. I said, "But I have a job to do too. So how am I supposed to do that job without access to you, the individual who I need to talk to?" So we had a good debate. The clubhouse is a sacred place. Guys get there. There's a little bit of a misconception about baseball. And since Christopher brought it up in the chat, I'll tell you this. Game is at 7. A lot of guys, like they've got I think hitting's at 340 for the home team. Guys are there at noon. Guys are there earlier than that. Relievers, pitchers are there earlier than that. You want to work on something with your defense or extra hitting, then you get there too. Early. You can get there as early as you want.
Say plus added treatments and stuff like that too. Sometimes they got to go in early for that as well, right?
Yeah, they do. But a lot of it is guys don't want to hang around in the hotel.
Yeah.
They sleep late.
Part of it. Yeah.
They want to get there. They want to eat something. All right. Since they've already paid for it. So they're going to eat something. Guys will play cards together. Guys will do Sudokus. Guys will do crosswords. They do something other, and that's how they relax. But they feel better relaxing in the clubhouse than they do in a hotel room. There's only so many times you can walk around a city. And certain cities, you ain't walking around. Baltimore, for example. A few years ago, we get to Baltimore. Head of security is like, "Do not go past this point. You're subject to, harm." So where else are you going to be? You're going to be in your comfortable surroundings. The hard thing about baseball is because you're you're there for 162. Unlike any other sport, it's 162. I mean, football players, think about it. They use their locker room to store, shower, and get out. Sure, the treatment, like everybody does. Baseball uses it as a family room. Football doesn't. Basketball doesn't. And hockey doesn't. Hockey, they'll go off to the side. They'll tape their sticks. They'll, kind of shave their sticks a little bit. They'll saw them and they'll make it to they're very particular about their equipment. Baseball, you're in there feeling your bats, maybe smelling your glove, softening it up a little bit, but you're there to be around the people you're always around. It's a family room atmosphere. It's a man cave atmosphere. The other sports don't use their locker rooms like that. No other sport uses its locker room like baseball uses a clubhouse. So it's very intimate and it's very personal and it's really important to them. It's rarely down and out. I mean, it's not Moneyball where you're losing and Jeremy Giambi's playing music and dancing on an ottoman. It's not that either, unless you reach the postseason. They need a jump start. Here's what'll jump start them: a big hit. A big clutch home run will jumpstart them more than anything else. The inability to get runners home with men in scoring position is what brings you down as much as anything else. It's a good question.
That's the weirdest part, though, about the stretch right now. I feel like, the one win they got against the Blue Jays was a walk-off from Torkelson. And maybe you would have thought that would have done something. It still didn't do anything.
Right. Well, look, Andy, here's part of the issue. And we've said this before, but there's no easy fix on this.
Nope.
And I know you have writers who think they know and go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to suggest that you bring up this guy or that guy or whatever. Like I read an article the other day and you're hearing, well, this might be a good guy. Corey Julks. Let's bring him up. I mean, he's batting .295. He's got some home runs. I want you to think about this for a minute. It's not like he hasn't had opportunities. He's had opportunities in Houston and Chicago. I'm talking about Corey Julks. He's 30 years old. He's a career .230 hitter. He has 9 home runs in his major league career. This malpractice of writing that believes, here's what you do. You bring up a guy because he's having a really good minor league season. I know. Let's bring this guy up. Look at what he's done so far. Have we not learned anything? Seriously, have we not learned anything that you think it's an automatic transformation of power and skill and numbers from the minor leagues to the major leagues? You want to gauge Workman up. Guess what? He's up. How's that working out for you? It's not that I don't like the kid, because I do. I like the kid. But he had big numbers in Toledo. You know what he's hitting now? 179. Wenso Perez, big numbers in Toledo. You know what he's hitting now? 160. Hao-Yu Lee, good numbers in the minors. These guys get called up because they think they deserve it, and people would look at their numbers in AAA and think they deserve it. He's batting .200. It ain't coming from within, man. Not from a journeyman of Corey Julks. For crying out loud. It's mind-blowing that people think that Corey Julks at age 30, who's had some, I guess it's a fine line. I should be careful. Because who's to say you can't go down and get better? All right? He's had a decent sample size at the major league level. I shouldn't be judging that he couldn't help this team. He's a right-handed hitter. So perhaps that's it. But suddenly everybody wants the latest and greatest. Well, there's Ben Malgary. Let's get him up here. He's batting .291 in Toledo, so that's what this team needs. He gets on base. He got on base in 36 out of 37 games. Let's bring him up. Turn the clock back a little bit. Rewind and see what they were saying about Gage Workman and how you lead. And now you want them replaced. It's just ridiculous. Shep, do you think Baltimore looks back and says they should have traded for Tarek at the trade deadline a couple of years ago? Well, they got rid of Corbin Burns. I would say probably not. Maybe. Maybe. They would have had to give up an awful lot because I like their young talent. And that's what the Tigers would have wanted. When you think of Baltimore, at least when you did think of Baltimore, when they were winning the East, it was just a couple of years ago, as the texter says, you were thinking of Gunnar Henderson. You were thinking of Adley Rutschman. You were thinking of Colton Cowser, Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westberg. Those were the names you were thinking of. And you would have wanted a certain number of those players. And I would have. Colton Cowser's not doing very well. Adley Rutschman was bad last year. Gunnar Henderson I like a lot, but he has struggled mightily. We talk about how bad Detroit has been. Gunnar Henderson's an absolute stud. He's batting .220. He's got an OBP of 27, 270. That's crazy. Shep, who is the leader on the Tigers team? That's a great question. I would say, and I've said this before, so I want to stay consistent. I would say Riley Green. I think Dylan Dingler's a future leader of this team. I've always had this debate. I've had the conversation with Derek Skubal, Casey Mize. I've had it with Matt Manning. I've had it with Justin Verlander. I have it with Max Scherzer. Can a pitcher be a leader? Interesting. But I would say if you needed a position, I could see McGonigal being a future leader, but I see Green and Dingler right now. Shep, past Detroit teams, you clearly knew who the leader was on those teams. You don't on this team. Well, like past Detroit teams, what are you referring to? Their championship team? Is that what you're referring to? Answer me this. Who do you think the leader on the 2004 Detroit Tigers team, 2006 Detroit Tigers team was? The team that lost to the Cardinals in the World Series, who was the leader on that team?
Kenny Rogers or Pudge Rodriguez?
And Kenny Rogers is a pitcher. Pudge Rodriguez? Was it Magglio Ordonez?
Those are just my best guesses. I feel like I don't know. I was trying to think of honestly who was the leader of that team.
Yeah, a lot of people felt it was Carlos Guillen. You had multiple guys. You know why? Because that team won. That's why you're able to know that. That team won. You win 95 games. You, unfortunately finished second in the division, but reached the World Series. People feel that way. Did you feel like this team lacked leadership the last 2 years when they reached the postseason? Does it not require some pretty good internal leaders to come from way back and reach the postseason like they did? We'll pick it up on the other side. We're brought to you this hour by Meyer on a Farish Coffee Friday here on X's and Bros.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
I had mentioned the Matthew Stafford contract. 55, could be 60 million next year. Yesterday, we told you Aaron Rodgers is coming back. What appears to be, probably a cap-friendly deal for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If I asked you which player in history made more career earnings now, made more than any other player in NFL history, who would you say? All time.
Give me the question one more time. What was
career earnings in NFL history?
Who's made the most?
Correct.
It has to be a quarterback.
Top 5 are quarterbacks. Top 10 are quarterbacks.
Well, it's not Tom Brady because
Tom Brady's
didn't make. Okay, so he still made a lot.
333 mil. Yep.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Brett Favre played for a long time. I don't know how much he made.
Matthew Stafford.
Oh, well, okay. That actually does kind of make sense. What do you think
408. Then it's Aaron Rodgers at 395. Then it's Brady. Then it's Kirk Cousins at 321.5. Then it's Russell Wilson at 316. Then it's, I think it's there's Drew Brees, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, and Phillip Rivers, and Matt Ryan. There's your 10. Crazy.
Yeah, some of the names there towards the end. Wow.
Yeah. I want to get to the final results of the poll question, and I will do that. Let me first bring this up because it was I can't figure out what teams or organizations do with certain players. I guess if you're a really good player, it doesn't matter. Character doesn't matter to you. And maybe this isn't a great example of character, but I think it is. All right. What's wrong with Georgia football? Let me give you a timeline here. You ready? January 2023. Jalen Carter gets in a fatal speed racing incident. It involved multiple members of the staff, a recruiting analyst, a sophomore offensive lineman. People died in the incident. It didn't prevent Lions fans from saying, I want him. It still doesn't prevent people today from saying, I wish we had him. All right. That his car was allegedly going over 100 miles an hour in Athens. Okay. There was another vehicle involved too with 4 guys, and Carter was arrested. Street racing, reckless driving, all that stuff. Alou Ba from Georgia, a freshman offensive lineman, was ticketed for speeding in February of 2023. Jamon Dumas Johnson was arrested for racing in February of 2023. Denylin Morset, Marvin Jones, both stopped for racing in February of 2023. Kristen Miller, Kendall Milton stopped for speeding in 2023, going 95 in a 60-mile-an-hour zone. Morissette arrested again, DUI, May of 2023. Marcus Roseme Jack Saint stopped 3 times for speeding in 1 month. One was just 10 miles over. Come on. But one is 71 in a 40. One was 90 in a 45. Samuel Mpemba stopped for speeding in July of 2023. He was going 90 miles an hour in a 50-mile-an-hour zone. Tyron Ingram Dawkins stopped for speeding in July of 2023, going 90. Jarvis Jones, reckless driving. Janelle, on and on and on. Trevor Etienne, DUI. Sasovi White, reckless driving. Bo Hewley, reckless driving. It's amazing how many of these players, I'm not even halfway through everybody. 2 Georgia commits and a player arrested in July of 2025. It's endless. It looks like a Christmas list. The reason I say this, the reason I bring it up, is because even when you're not there but you're associated with the program. Something happens. Nolan Smith, the linebacker for Georgia or for the Eagles who played at Georgia, was just clocked and arrested for driving 135 miles an hour. He's going 65 over the limit. I tell my kids, you want to speed 9 miles an hour over is 1? You're going 65 over? Don't tell me there's not a cop out there who wouldn't stop you. It's unbelievable. It feels like there's about 25 to 30 incidents just in the past few years. What does Kirby Smart, does anybody say anything about this? I mean, I know there's a lot of people who bring up the Jim Harbaugh situation in Michigan, and for good reason. Does anybody bring up Kirby Smart and the lack of discipline that his players have at Georgia? And I've never been one of those guys who says, you're a head coach, you're responsible for 100 kids. Okay, what's the what is it, 94 now? What's the limit, Andy? Do you remember for scholarships?
No, I could
88, 94, something like that. Anyway, can you really expect them to? I've never been that guy. But who you're recruiting? I mean, what kind of character are you recruiting, if at all? And by the way, I used to say that when there were staffs of 8 to 10 coaches. Now
you can have 105 scholarships.
You get 105?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Now, here's what you have. And I thought it was less than that for Division I. But anyway, I thought you've got as many coaches these days. You've got like 25 coaches on a staff. It's unbelievable. So should you be able to patrol 100 kids? 4 kids per coach? You're still asking a lot. But come on, man. It's out of control at Georgia. What type of precedent do they set? Who wants their kids associated with that? Here's the poll question from yesterday. Which Tiger position player does this team miss most? Parker Meadows, Gleyber Torres, Javier Baez. What were the answers?
Yesterday for that one, we had Parker Meadows at 5%, which, I mean, I would have expected that one to be 0, honestly. Javier Baez is at 20%. Gleyber Torres was 70%, led the way, and then other was 5%.
Okay. The poll question, the Mitch Lions Well poll question today, who should the Lions extend next? Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs. How about your daily wager brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino Resort? How'd that go?
Well, yesterday I finally broke the short winning streak. I took the over in that game last night in the NBA. Mm-hmm. What's funny is the other thing I told you, I was juggling a couple things. I was going to go with the Guardians, and I was like, nope, the Tigers are going to find a way to win today. They didn't win. So should have just
with Casey Mize on the mound, many people would have.
I thought that, and the 2 runs that they kind of got on him were not really hard.
Yeah, Mize was good.
Yeah, exactly.
He was good.
He was good again. Mm-hmm. But anyway, today I'm taking the Tampa Bay Rays. They're playing against the Yankees. I'm taking a money line. The reason I'm taking it is because it's plus 129. Garrett Cole is coming back for his first start of the year, so that could go either way. It could be really good for him. It could be really bad. I'm going to lean on the team that's won 4 in a row and 5 of their last 6, and it's been pretty good all year. I have a feeling that Tampa gets the job done tonight and gets the win.
Garage Beer 6-pack is next here on X's and Bros. Stay with us, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. And it's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. The Tigers are in Baltimore this weekend, and this just might be the matchup that gets the Tigers' offense jump-started. The Orioles' pitching has been awful this year. The Orioles' rotation is last with a 5.11 ERA. The bullpen 12th with a 4.80 ERA. Opponents are hitting 260 with a 7.80 OPS against Orioles pitching, and they've hit 60 home runs, 3rd most allowed in the American League. The Tigers will face 2 starters with ERAs over 5.50 this weekend. After years of changes, Walls moving back and then in, Camden Yards is back to being a very hitter-friendly ballpark. Lots of home runs, and now 3rd best for run scoring since the start of last year. It all adds up to a big opportunity for the Tigers. A perfect time to start showing that this offense is better than what we've been watching for the last several weeks.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Friday. That means it's a good weekend, a long weekend for you to maybe have a couple of beers. You never want to get too full, though, do you? You want to enjoy yourself. I'm going to play golf a little bit later on today, and in the cart will be some garage beer. Outstanding, crisp, refreshing light beer, 95 calories. That's it. Little hint of lime as well. The garage is always open. Garage beer giving us our six-pack, our Friday six-pack, where Andy just throws any 6 questions at me, and we roll from there. 8:35, Colton Pouncey joins us to talk Lions. Fire away with our first ever installment of the Garage Beer Friday six-pack.
All right, let's get it going for sure. All right, first one I got for you. Good. Yeah, right, exactly. First one is, with it being Memorial Day weekend and people going up north, do you have a favorite spot in northern Michigan to go?
Well, that's a great question. I love northern Michigan in general. It's hard to deny Harbor Springs. I mean, it's special, spectacular up there. I wish I made enough money like Andy does and Huge does to have a house.
Here we go with that.
Yeah, I would say that's my favorite spot, but it's hard to just say favorite. I do remember, I've told the story before. When John Beeline first came to the University of Michigan, I told him, I want you to do me a favor, go up north. Simply spectacular. I tell this to every athlete who comes to Detroit and maybe lives here just part of the year. I said, on your all-star break, go up north. Enjoy it. Go to Traverse City. Go to Charlottesville. Go to different places. Go to Petoskey. I don't care. Pick a place up there. You're going to love it. He ended up buying a house. He loved it so much when he was a few years into his tenure at Michigan. So if I had to pinpoint one, it'd probably be Harbor Springs, but you drop me anywhere up north, I'm a happy man.
All right, number 2. We're going to stick with the
bottled beer.
Yes, it is. Number 2, we're going to stick with the up north theme for a minute for the Memorial Day weekend, or anywhere you're at in general for the celebration. What's your favorite meal to grill / make? So it could be, you could even consider this for 4th of July or anything like that.
That's a good one. Yeah, we're having friends over and family over this weekend. So we're going to have steaks. We're going to have chicken for those who don't eat red meat. I'll be honest with you, and I know it's not super healthy. Give me a grilled hot dog with some beans on the plate. I'm pretty fired up. So I know it's easy. I know it's simple. A steak is the ideal answer. Burgers and hot dogs, sometimes it's okay to be simple, just like with garage beer. Sometimes things are just easy, and I enjoy it that way. So give me hot dogs and burgers on a grill, and I'll always be smiling at the end of the meal.
Don't disagree with any of those. Yeah. And that's probably what that would make me do. We're going to switch it up a little bit here. Favorite football fields in the NFC North, 1 through 4. Go.
Lambeau Field, and it's not even close. Lambeau Field is number 1. It's not that I like the Packers, but I love nostalgia. Ford Field is number 2. Soldier Field is number 3. And then Minnesota. Now, in fairness, I haven't been to Minnesota's new arena. I was at the Metrodome a number of times, but I've been to Lambeau a number of times. I've been to Soldier Field a number of times, and of course Ford Field. That's how I would rank them. It's hard to say no to Lambeau Field. It screams and reeks National Football League. There's nothing like it. And if I told anybody once, I've told them 100 times, if you're going to go to one place to watch a football game, you got to go to Lambeau. There are only certain places in the sport of football that scream similar to that of what baseball mecca places scream. When you know you walk into Fenway Park, it's a baseball stadium. When you go to Lambeau, you know it's built for football. So give me Lambeau number 1.
A little bit of a fizz there. Fizz. number 4, we got, if you could own any kind of business, what would it be and why?
These days, AI, since it's taken off, how can you not want to own some piece of AI, knowing that everybody is turning to it? And what Jeff Bezos said the other day, it's interesting. He says he doesn't think it's going to be putting people out of jobs. I mean, more and more people are going to learn it to use it and use it to their advantage. So you should be, as Mark Cuban said, learning as much about AI as you possibly can. That would be first and foremost. I would love to say a job or a business that helps people in general. But if you're looking to help people and to make money, AI can do both. So I would have to say probably a business associated with that.
All right. So number 5, we got what season is your favorite and why? As in like time of the year.
Yeah. Look, when springtime comes, it's to get past the winter and the jackets and the cold and everything. Then on the other hand, I love the fall because you're bringing the end of baseball, the beginning of basketball, the beginning of hockey, and the start of football. If you love football like you and I do, it's hard to have a time of year when there is no football. So if I could have it, in the mid 60s to low 70s every day.
Like this week, kind of. I don't know what's been down there, but it's been pretty nice up here. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's been okay. But you also have the leaves changing, and it's the most beautiful time of the year for Michigan, I think, when those leaves are changing. You can still play golf. I got to have that. I just don't want to have to put on the furnace on full bore all the time. So I would say September-esque, because you've got the 4 sports getting ready to coincide with one another, and I can live the best of both worlds. Golf, picture Michigan, and all the sports that I care most about. Oh, dropped something. Yeah. Sounds like a shot glass of garage beer.
This must be the end of this, huh? Number 6. If you could pick one day of the week to get rid of, which would it be and why? Or do you not care?
I don't really care. I actually don't mind Mondays. I know a lot of people can't stand them. I don't mind them because we have our Hero and Heel. I like our Mondays with Mitch segment. Fridays are special because you're excited for the weekend. Tuesday probably doesn't do it for me. If I had to get rid of one day, it'd probably be Tuesday.
I'm the same way. That's the same day I'd pick. But yep, that'll wrap it up for the Friday 6-pack.
The Friday 6-pack brought to you by Garage Beer. The garage is always open. Outstanding, crisp, and refreshing light beer that has just 95 calories. Comes in lime as well. Check out Garage Beer today. And you can follow them on Twitter, by the way, as well, because it's really cool. Real quick text before we welcome in Colton Pouncey at 8:35. After all these years, I didn't realize until yesterday when I saw the video again, it was actually Paul Carey that called Cecil Fielder's 50th home run at Tiger Stadium, not Ernie Harwell. Yeah, the beauty of their partnership. Ernie would start the game, Paul Carey takes over the middle innings, and then Ernie ends the game. Paul Carey was excellent at what he did, and he was a true gentleman. Those two men in the same booth with great voices, great description, and just good men, hard to beat. Remember, Paul Carey was the guy who set up all the equipment back then. I mean, the egos were checked at the door, man. If there was ego, there wasn't any ego there. That's the beauty of what those men brought to the table. I think it would be hard today to have those kind of guys. And the reason is because so many things have just, I don't know, ruined it to a certain extent. And we were so fortunate to have those men calling games. Like, same thing with Bruce Martin as the Red Wings play-by-play voice on radio. That was a special time of the year. Special time growing up. Mark Champion was on Mark Champion was doing Lions, and George Blaha was doing Pistons, and Bruce Martin was doing Red Wings, and Ernie Harwell and Paul Carey doing Tigers. It was a golden age, man. I was lucky to be around for it. When we come back, we're lucky to have Colton Pouncey of The Athletic. He joins us on the other side to talk Jack Campbell's extension, who gets extended next, and more. Stay with us. This is X's and Bros on a Ferris Coffee Friday, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Ferris Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Ferris Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
really fired up at 35 after the hour on this Friday to talk about Jack Campbell and his impact on the Lions and perhaps why some people feel like he's worthy of the extension or not. Colton Pouncey let us know on The Athletic on social media that Jack Campbell did sign that 4-year extension with a lot of money, obviously, and a lot of money guaranteed. He does it as well as anybody, following this team and keeping you up to date, and on his podcast as well. Does a really nice job in that regard, where they talk about a lot of different things with he and other members of his football Lions brethren. And he joins us here on this Friday. We hope you have a great holiday weekend, even though there's really no holidays for you and members of your staff. You guys are constantly working. So thanks for keeping us up to speed on that. Your initial thoughts on the Lions getting this done with Jack Campbell, the importance of it, and how you feel like this should have been done if this is the right number for him.
Yeah, not too surprising. I think most of us that kind of followed the situation kind of thought it was heading this way. I think, obviously some people were a bit surprised when the Lions declined to pick up his 5th-year option, as they did with Jahmyr Gibbs. As a player entering his 4th season, a former first-round pick, that was on the table. But the Lions really saw that number. It would have been $21.9 million, I believe. And they said, well, one, we can get him a little bit cheaper. And two, the reason why this number is so high is because linebackers and edge rushers are actually paired together with the 5th-year option tag number. So that's a little bit on the higher end for a traditional off-ball linebacker like Jack. So even though they declined it, kind of like the Ravens did with Tyler Linderbaum, it was never going to be a situation where they let him hit free agency. He is too important to what they do. They view him as an anchor of this defense, and the way they were talking about him all offseason made you think that he was going to be here for the long term. So it always felt like a matter of, I guess, when, not if, with Jack. And so no surprise to see them get it done the way they did.
Colton, I tweeted last night, I think that in so many words, the Lions fans should be happy about this. Somebody had tweeted back and suggested that it's too much for a linebacker. At what point do we put – everybody's got a limit at every position, but who deserves the most money? If a guy's a really good player, dare I say great player, and he's a really good leader, and he's the key to your defense, why wouldn't you want him under contract for an extended period of time?
Yeah, I don't really understand that conversation. When the Lions drafted Jack in 2023, they always said, we're not looking to draft positions. We're looking to draft football players, and good football players at that. And so I remember that draft like it was yesterday. There was a lot of criticism back then. I remember when pick 18 came up, a lot of people were like, oh, they need a cornerback. They could use an edge rusher. And while that was true, the Lions were never going to sacrifice like quality for a position. And so they easily pivoted to Jack because he was the highest remaining player on their board. And they haven't looked back. And if you look at some of the players that they could have drafted, Deonte Banks, the cornerback from the Giants. Now, I don't know how many people really trust PFF. Some people have opinions on it, but he was one of the lowest rated cornerbacks on PFF last year. And you could have him if you wanted to draft that position, but instead they drafted Jack because they thought he was a better football player. And so keeping good football players around is how you sustain success over the long haul. And the Lions seem primed to do that with the extensions they've already given out and the extensions that they will continue to give out to keep these guys around, to keep this window open as long as they can. Is it a lot of money? Obviously, like he's making $20+ million, but he's worth every penny of it, in my opinion. He is one of the best players in the league at his position. He's young. He's still growing. He's probably going to be a team captain this year. Like, those are guys you keep around. You don't let those guys hit free agency, because if you do, someone will willingly pay them even more than probably the Lions paid for Jack. So you don't know him.
You know him really well. What do you like most about him?
He is such a good dude, man. Like, he's probably my favorite player to talk to in that locker room, if I'm being honest. Every time I have a question, whether it's about something that happened in the game that maybe isn't widely known, like, he'll take the time to like explain what happened on that play one-on-one in the locker room, like a Wednesday afternoon. After games, he's always available, whether he played well or not. And these days he's mostly playing well, but even if he has a bad game, he's still down to talk to us and gives us all the time that we need. There's one instance last year, I want to say December, where I kind of showed up in the locker room a little bit late. He had already done like a whole scrum and was walking out to like leave the locker room and leave the building. And I was like, hey, man, I really need you just for like a couple questions. I'm sorry, I was a little late. He's like, dude, whatever you need, like, I'm here for you. So I really appreciate guys like that just are selfless with their time, because I know it's not easy to talk like that after rough games, but he is always available. He's a great teammate. You can see the way that guys interact with him, that they really, respect him and the way he goes about his business. So you always want to keep guys like that around to set the tone.
Great teammate in Colton Pouncey as part of the Athletic. He joins us here on X's and Bros. Follow him on Twitter at Colton_Pouncey. If you follow football, if you follow the Lions, you already do that. So I really shouldn't have to tell you what his Twitter handle is. So now that he is under contract, who's the next one? It's our Mitch Lions Wealth poll question today. Who do you extend next? Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, all part of that draft class that, as you bring up, a lot of people were down on. I remember a Yahoo NFL writer gave Detroit an F because they had just signed David Montgomery. Why would you draft a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs? They had signed Alex Anzalone. Why would you draft Jack Campbell? You passed on Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame to take Sam Laporta. So a lot of people were against that draft pick, but you do have young, talented, and I would argue top 5 players at their positions in all those guys. Branch is a top 5 safety when healthy. Laporta's a top 5 to 8 tight end when healthy, and Gibbs is definitely a top 5 running back. Who gets the next extension in your mind?
Yeah, if we're talking about just an order, I think it's got to be Gibbs, right? I think there's a pressure to get something done with him, not just because, the Lions want to keep him around. Like, that's obvious, but I would say you're also competing with the Falcons and Bijan Robinson. Like, those guys are kind of linked in their draft class. Bijan went, I believe, 8th to the Falcons overall that year, and Gibbs went 12th. And both of those players have absolutely lived up to their draft slots as dynamic offensive weapons in this league. And so they're both extension eligible this offseason. So if I'm the Lions, I'm working to get something done with Gibbs sooner rather than later, because you know that Bijan's going to reset the market, and you're going to probably have to top that. Whoever comes first, whoever comes second, there's going to be an order here. So not only is he a dynamic player, and Brad Holmes has been so upfront. He's like, I don't view this guy as a running back. I view him as an offensive weapon. We still feel like we're scratching the ceiling, scratching the surface with the type of ceiling he can be as a receiver in the passing game. So they're going to get something done with him. I think he's next. He's the obvious one, because even with Laporta and Branch, as great of players as they are, they're coming off some serious injuries. And I wonder if the Lions maybe want to wait a little bit to kind of see how those play out, see how they return before you get those deals done. But Gibbs feels like the next one, and I think that's a no-brainer to kind of handle that this offseason.
Yeah, I would argue this team's in pretty good shape, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I like the makeup of this. I don't know how good Miller's going to be at right tackle. I don't know how good certain players. I don't know how effective Derek Moore is going to be at edge rusher. But I like the makeup of this team and the depth of this team. What do you, as of right now? It's hard to say, Colton, because we don't know who's going to stay healthy right now. But what do you like most about the makeup of this team right now?
Yeah, what I've noticed is that there's been a sense of urgency from the Lions this offseason, and that's kind of what I wanted to see from them. I felt like at times last year, especially when you get to December, that for a while they're kind of treading water, win, loss, then you lose 3 in a row to like bow out of the playoff race. Like, as that was unfolding, when you would talk to guys in the locker room, there was sort of this confidence, like, oh, we'll figure it out, we're the Lions. But it was almost like more talk than action, and it's like they were relying on past success rather than like, hunkering down and addressing their issues head on. And I guess they couldn't with some of the offensive line stuff. Maybe that was always going to be addressed in the offseason, but they just felt like overly confident for a team that like just didn't have the juice last year. And so I think this offseason, really from Dan, from Brad, you see the sense of urgency. Like, we got to increase competition. That's something they've been saying all offseason. Like, we need guys that will come in here and shake things up. Whether it's like these guys on 1-year deals that are hungry, getting rid of some of these veterans, we can let our young core take over and be the guys that we drafted them to be, the leaders we drafted them to be. Like, it's their time. Khalif Raymond's not here anymore. Alex Anzalone's not here anymore. Taylor Decker's not here anymore. So it's time for that next wave that has been good players in this league. It's time for them to take on that leadership role and set the tone for what's to come. So we haven't really talked to players yet, but OTAs are starting here soon. I'm excited to hear from those guys and how they're approaching this offseason, because I've seen it from the leaders, and now I just got to see it from the personnel and the player side of things. But I think it's going to be there. I think it's going to be a really competitive summer, and that's probably going to get the best out of the group that they have.
One of my favorite articles you've written, and I read you every time, but was the middle of May. It was the Lions schedule. I think it was labeled something along the lines of return to the playoffs as possible, or something along those lines. I don't know if you write your headlines or not, but you gave us keys to victory in week 1, the must-watch game. It was based on the schedule. Okay. Certain things that might be tougher. One, they can't afford to lose. You broke it down: the best offense they're going to face, the Bills, obviously, the best defense, the best lines, and so on and so forth. I know it's hard. I hate the projection game. You guys are always forced to do it because that's what your editors want. But when you go into a season and you look at this schedule based on last year, which is oftentimes unfair, but based on last year, what do you notice most about the scheduling?
It's almost like, you look at the first half of that schedule, you have some very winnable games, like the Saints, the Jets, the Cardinals, the Dolphins. Like, these are teams that, might be picking in the top 10 and did pick in the top 10 this past year, but might be picking there again, barring a turnaround. And so, like, when I look at the first half of the season, it really sets up to stack wins early. And, like, for me, like, if they go anything less than 6-2, 5-3, maybe if you have some injuries along the way, like, anything less than that is a major disappointment. But I would fully expect like a 6-2 start in those first 8 games at least, based on how the schedule sets up for them. Now in the second half, that's where things get tricky. So when I look at it and I first saw it, it's like, okay, it's almost like a tale of 2 seasons. Like, the first half, that's where you stack wins. Second half, things are going to get tougher. But if you have that confidence from that first half of the season where it's like, hey, we're winning games, like, we're back, that can carry over. And that confidence can really feed into, winning some of those tougher games late in the year when you play the Patriots, Bucks, and Bears 3 games in a row in 11 days. When you end with 3 NFC North teams out of 4, your final 4 games on the road, like, having that confidence built from the first half of the season will only help them, in my opinion, when they get to that tougher portion of the schedule. And I think, like, they'll be battle tested at that point. I think that's the hope, at least. So they really got to win those early games to kind of set themselves up for success later in the season. But everything is on the table for them this year with that schedule.
You can follow him on Twitter at Colton_Pouncey, but check out the Lions podcast that he does. It's called Lions Collective. It's him, our friend Justin Rogers, and others. It's very informative, and it's kind of fun too. If you listen, it'll put a smile on your face. I asked this yesterday. Give me the guy from last year who is a younger player. Doesn't have to be a rookie, but a younger player who needs to elevate his play this year. And give me the veteran or the new player this year who needs to be as good as you think he's going to be. So, for example, I said Tyleik Williams from a year ago. I'd like to see him better. And our producer, Andy McDonald, said Terrion Arnold. And as far as the new one, I said Cade Mays. He's got to be that established guy in the middle, like he was in Carolina, and really good against running and for the run game and reaching that second level. Who would you say in those two situations?
I would say for a young guy, I'll stick with the offensive line. I'll go, obviously there's a lot of players you can pick for this, but I would go Christian Mahogany. He had a disappointing season last year, and the Lions were pretty high on him entering the season at that left guard position. I think he's going to win that job. Now, they brought in competition for him, but I think he's going to win the job. I think he'll be better off playing next to Penei Sewell and in between Sewell and Cade Mays together. That duo for a young player is going to be massive for I think a player like Christian Mahogany, and kind of becoming the player the Lions think he can be, which is this stout, good pass protector, physical run blocker. They think he can be that player in due time. And if he's able to elevate his game, there's really not going to be a hole on that offensive line. Like, you're expecting quality play across the board. Like, I didn't even mention Tate Ratledge because I think he's already there. He's just got to show it a little bit more, obviously. But I think the second half of the season kind of showed that he can be that dude. So if Christian can match that, I think they're going to be really set up for success. And defensively, I guess, or a veteran player, I'd say, is Ali McNeil. He had a rough season coming back, and I know he was, working his way and shaking off the rust from the ACL injury he suffered in 2024. But he didn't quite look like himself last year, and I think it kind of hurt the Lions in some ways, like him not being able to be that guy out of the gate. Now, I don't have many concerns with him. He is a dude. He puts in the work. He changed his whole diet to shed weight and be this explosive 3 tech that they paid him to be. So I just think a year removed from that injury is going to really help him in this upcoming season. And the Lions need that interior pass rush from him specifically. You talked about Tyleik Williams. That duo is going to be really good, in my opinion, but Aleem's got to carry that while Tyleik finds his way. So you're paying him to be a dude, and he needs to be a dude this year.
I've only got a couple of minutes left. I wanted to ask you a Pistons question, but you brought up Christian Mahogany, so I'm going to ask you about Miles Frazier because I really like him. Can Miles Frazier win that left guard spot, or do you think that's too far-fetched and he's more of a rotational and a backup? I
really think they're going to give him a chance. Like, as much as I think Christian Mahogany can bounce back this year, I fully expect it to be an open competition, and that's what the Lions want. I think between Frazier, Mahogany, and even Ben Barch, who they brought in, a veteran, like you're going to see probably a three-way competition there, and it's just going to be may the best man win. And that's what
Do you like Frazier?
Do you like? I do like Frazier.
Okay.
Yeah. He was good. He was I think on our guy Dane Brugler's board, he was a top 100 prospect that fell to the 5th round. So he's got the length. He played some tackle in college. He's really good in pass pro, at least at LSU. Now he was shaking off some of the rust and was not fully healthy throughout the year. So I think that kind of set him back at times last year. But when we got some spot chances, I thought he performed well for a rookie. Now it's just about developing and continuing to kind of hone his craft. And I think Mahogany's probably a little bit further along in that development, but Frazier got all the tools to start for this team. If it all
you tweet out more than just football real quick. Was the Pistons season a success despite the postseason disappointment against Cleveland?
I want to say yes because they won 60 games and got the 1 seed, but they blew that series, man. Like they had a chance to win. What was that, game 5?
Game 5, up 9 with 2:40 to go.
Like if you win that game, you're playing right now. So as much as I think they need a secondary ball handler to take some pressure off Cade, I thought that was a glaring issue as the playoffs started.
Amen.
There were still winnable games. Like I don't want to just write them off entirely and be like, oh, you had a good season, you're going to be fine. I think they'll be fine, but it's like you're allowed to feel some type of way in the moment because they had a chance to close out that series and extend their run, and they didn't. They fell short.
Amen. I think and your ball. I've said the same thing. They need a secondary ball handler as well as a shooter, right? So there's no doubt about that. Hey, keep up the great work. All the best to you and your family on this holiday weekend. Love the Lions Collective. Tell all those guys I said, hey, we'll talk soon. Have a great summer, my friend. Thanks for the time today. All right, that's Colton Pouncey joining us from The Athletic. I want to thank everybody involved in our broadcast, especially Andy McDonald and Colton Pouncey for joining us. Our thanks to Garage Beer, Ferris Coffee, Soaring Eagle, Meyer, of course, Mitch Lyons Wealth, and a whole lot more. But thanks mostly to you for giving us an opportunity on this Ferris Coffee Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody. We're back with you Tuesday morning, 6 o'clock. Don't forget the huge show later on today, 3 until 7 on this, the Michigan Sports Network.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kurt Gibbs.